다들이 아니 아주 캐나다의 총계를 전부 Toronto
Today, here in this hall, in Canada's largest city, Toronto, I would like to offer my greetings to the community of the Sangha, the Source of Refuge, to all my friends, and to all my Dharma friends who have traveled here from far away. I did not have the opportunity to come in person to this year's teaching in Toronto. And I do feel a great deal of regret, and I'm very sorry about it. I am deeply sorry. The reason why is that we arranged this program several months ago, and there are many people who came specifically for this event from long distances away. They have given a lot, whether in terms of expense or in terms of physical and verbal effort. I feel extremely sorry that in the end, I was not able to attend. However, just when I was about to depart to come, the doctor advised me that it would be better not to fly in an airplane because of my physical condition. So for this reason, for the time being, I must postpone my travels. But I do think that it would be best to continue with the teaching, and I have the resolve to do so. The reason is that so many people have come, and I don't want to let them go empty-handed. The main thing is that you have gathered here for this teaching, to listen to the words of the Buddha and the Buddha Dharma, and not for the sake of me, a single human being. So for that reason, I thought it would be best to continue with the teaching and listening to the Dharma, and that it could be even better than if I were actually to have come. Therefore, I will give a short teaching on the way to do the practice of Avalokiteshvara, all-pervading benefit of beings, as previously planned. All of us sentient beings, all beings who have a mind, that is, not only human, but all sentient beings, we are all the same in wanting happiness and not wanting suffering. To give an example, it is like travelers in a ship. Those travelers might be of any age, they might be rich or poor, beautiful or ugly, but no matter how different their external appearances, all of the people in the vessel are going down the same path with the same destination. So that's kind of how it is. With all of us sentient beings, all the different kinds of beings, like among us humans, there are people of many different colored faces with various different shapes. And among animals, the variety is even greater. We all of us have merely have a different external appearance. Inside, the feelings in our minds, or the feelings of pleasure and pain, are all the same. All of us are the same in having the wish to be happy and the wish to be free of pain. But even though they want happiness, they have difficulty in obtaining happiness. They want to be free of suffering, but have difficulties freeing themselves from suffering. The main reason for these difficulties is that even though they want to find happiness, they don't know what the causes of happiness are. They do not know how they should make efforts to gain the causes of happiness. Likewise, they wish to abandon suffering and to be free of it, but they do not know what the basis of suffering is. So, for example, when we get sick, we don't want to be ill. But if we don't know the causes and conditions of that illness, merely not wanting the resulting undesirable sickness and its suffering does not make them go away. So, for this reason, the main thing is that even when we want to gain happiness, we do not know how to accomplish the causes of happiness. We want to be free of suffering, but do not know how to give up the causes of suffering. This is the difficulty we face, so our wishes and our practice are at odds with each other. Or you could say that our wishes have gone out of harmony with the nature of things. Generally, any being, no matter who they are, looks to see if they can bring about the causes of happiness insofar as they know them. They try to abandon the causes of suffering insofar as they know them. Especially with us humans, we are different than other sentient beings such as animals. We have the intelligence to see what we should do and what we should give up, the ability to discern good from bad in a way that other beings do not. This is why in the Buddhist scriptures it is said that we humans have what is called the precious human body. The precious human body is called precious because merely attaining a human body means that we have the ability to distinguish what we should do from what we should not. But it isn't just that. We cannot know whether merely attaining a human body means that it will be a precious, meaningful human body. For a precious human body to be meaningful, just as we want happiness, we should know how to accomplish the causes of happiness. Just as we don't want suffering, we should know how to give up the cause of suffering, misdeeds. If that is the case, then we have a human body that truly is precious. That precious human body becomes meaningful. And so for that reason, the main point is that we need to know what to do and what to give up. We want happiness and don't want suffering, but merely wanting or not wanting does not help. What is most important is that we know how to take up or give up their causes. We know how to take up or give up the results, but we don't know how to take up or give up their causes. Thus, it is important for us to take up or give up their causes. All of the things that the Buddhist scriptures tell us we should do and not do primarily come down to this point. So this is our situation. Now, the topic for today is how to do the practice of Avalokiteshvara. So with Noble Avalokiteshvara, for all of us Buddhists, Especially for Mahayana Buddhists, whether Tibetan Buddhists or Buddhists in the Chinese tradition, there probably isn't any Mahayana Buddhist who has never heard his name. Now, many people think Avalokiteshvara is a god of some sort. But what is Avalokiteshvara actually? Normally, we explain that Avalokiteshvara is the name of a bodhisattva. But actually, what should we understand practicing Avalokiteshvara to mean? Avalokiteshvara, in terms of his Tibetan name Chenrezig, means gazing upon us with his eyes. And therefore, it means that 6 times each day and night he gazes upon all sentient beings in the 6 realms with his compassionate eyes. In any case, we should understand it as meaning that at no time does he ever give up the wish to care for and treasure sentient beings. So in brief, the practice of Avalokiteshvara is the practice of loving kindness and compassion. It is not like we are accomplishing a god. Many people think that accomplishing a deity means we pray to a god, or that we prostrate to the god, or make them offerings. That's how they understand it. But actually, practicing Avalokiteshvara does not mean that there is some god over there whom we worship and to whom we offer prostrations and oblations. Avalokiteshvara means improving the qualities of loving kindness and compassion that are present within our own mind streams. It means intensifying them and transforming ourselves into a person who has loving kindness and compassion, a person who is altruistic. That is what we should understand practicing Avalokiteshvara to mean. Therefore, that understanding is the basis that we should have when we start our practice of Avalokiteshvara. We should have that understanding of what it means to practice Avalokiteshvara. If we do not have that fundamental understanding, merely saying that we practice Avalokiteshvara, merely knowing how to recite his mantra Om Mani Padme Hum, and when asked what Avalokiteshvara is, merely replying that he is a bodhisattva with 4 arms, just knowing and saying that does not help. The main thing is that the practice of Avalokiteshvara means knowing in our minds that the meditation on Avalokiteshvara is a practice of loving kindness and compassion, a practice of bodhicitta. That is how we should understand practicing Avalokiteshvara or manifesting Avalokiteshvara. So for these reasons, on a fundamental level, it is extremely important that we take that view and think in that way before we even begin Avalokiteshvara practice. In Tibet, there are many Avalokiteshvara sadhanas, long and short, and there are many Avalokiteshvara sadhanas that were translated from Sanskrit into Tibetan. Among all those various sadhanas, the one we practice is the sadhana written by the Mahasiddha Tangtong Gyalpo called All-Pervading Benefit of Beings. When we do this practice, We can divide it into 6 different points, or we could say 6 different sections. So there are these 6 different sections. The first section is the preparation rousing bodhicitta, refuge in bodhicitta. Following that, there are the main practice of visualizing the deity, the mantra recitation, and the other sections. This morning I will discuss the first of these, the preparation arousing bodhicitta. When we say refuge in bodhicitta, this is considered very important in the Buddhist tradition. The reason is, what determines whether we are Buddhist or not is going for refuge. What determines whether or not we are Mahayana is whether or not we have relative bodhicitta within our mind stream. So this is why these 2 points are critical. The first is that whether we are Buddhist or not comes down to going for refuge. Whether we are Mahayana or not comes down to bodhicitta. Thus, these are the most important points, the foundation. So what is going for refuge? If we talk about it simply, it is going for refuge to the 3 jewels. The Buddha is the one who teaches us the path. The Buddha is the one who shows us the path and says, go that way. Dharma means the path that we follow. So the path we go down is the Dharma. And the Sangha means our companions when we are going down the path, the friends or fellow travelers who go down the path with us. So when we compare refuge to a path, that's how it is. Or we can compare it to like a sick person. In that case, the Buddha is like the doctor, the Dharma is like the medicine, and the Sangha is like the people who help you and nurse you when you are sick. That is the Sangha. So this is comparing refuge to the situation of a person who is ill. So there are many different ways, many different situations that we can use as analogies that help us come to an understanding of what going for refuge is. So the main point is that the Buddha is generally accepted to be a being who appeared 2,500 years ago. So that is the historical. Historically speaking, this was the historical Buddha who appeared 2,500 years ago. This is the person who showed us the path, saying, this is the path. If you want to achieve liberation, this is the way you must go. So the Buddha is the one who teaches us the path. And the Dharma that he showed, the path or the method for achieving liberation and omniscience, is the Dharma. Our companions or helpers when we practice Dharma are the Sangha. In brief, in terms of the nature of things, the Buddha is, to put it succinctly, if we talk about it historically, someone who appeared 2,500 years ago. But if we talk about our current situation and ask who the Buddha is, The representative, or you could say emissary of the Buddha, is our spiritual friend. The spiritual teacher who shows us the path without making any mistakes is a representative of the Buddha. The instructions that the spiritual teacher gives us or teaches us, the spiritual advice on how to accomplish liberation and omniscience, is the Dharma. And when we practice the Dharma, the people who encourage us and help us, some of whom help us in terms of the Dharma, some of whom help us materially, they are all the Sangha. And in this way, all three jewels must be present. It's like if you have a sick person, for them to be cured of illness, they need a doctor, medicine, nurses, and so forth. Likewise, all three jewels must be present. In brief, we need to come to a good understanding of going for refuge. Going for refuge does not mean merely saying, "I go for refuge to the Buddha, save me, Buddha." It is not merely a prayer or supplication we say orally. It is something we need to put into practice. It is an action. This is the spiritual teacher who shows me the path. I need to listen to the spiritual teacher. I need to think of them as a spiritual teacher. I need to feel longing and respect for them as a spiritual teacher. We need to recognize that the directions they have given us are what we really need to put into practice. Likewise, we need to recognize that our companions are all people who support us and help us in accomplishing the path. Truly recognizing this is extremely important. Merely reciting the refuge prayer alone is not enough. It's important for us to really recognize it. So next is rousing bodhicitta. This means relative bodhicitta, the wish to bring all sentient beings to the state of Buddhahood. So relative bodhicitta is said to be the wish to bring all sentient beings to the state of Buddhahood. It's as it is said, bodhicitta is the wish for perfect enlightenment for others' sake. It is seeking one's own perfect enlightenment for the sake of bringing all sentient beings to achieve Buddhahood. Whether we are a bodhisattva or not, whether we are Mahayana or not, comes down to bodhicitta. We often speak about the foundation vehicle in the Mahayana. The presentation of the foundation vehicle in the Mahayana is not primarily about one view being higher than the other. It is determined by the scope of our intentions. In terms of the view, among the Shravaka disciples, there are some who have realized emptiness, so we cannot distinguish the foundation vehicle from the Mahayana solely in terms of the view. What distinguishes the foundation and the Mahayana is the scope of our intention, the scale of our intentions. The scope of our intentions, if we emphasize it in practice. Sometimes there are different ways we can understand the scope of our intention, but mainly what we mean in this context is how much responsibility we can bear. Mahayana means someone who can carry an extremely large responsibility, so it is called the Mahayana. Someone who can bear a responsibility that is lesser in comparison to that is Hinayana, or foundation vehicle. Therefore, what determines Mahayana or foundation vehicle is how much responsibility we can bear. That is why it is said that what distinguishes the Mahayana and the foundation vehicle is bodhicitta. This bodhicitta is really a question we need to pose of our own mind. We need to look and see how much courage and how much resolve we actually have. We need to look. The extent of it is not something we can show anyone else. Usually when we talk about the extent of something, we think about like the amount of wealth, the extent of someone's popularity. When we talk about the extent of something, it's like we have to direct our mind outwards and have something to show another person. But here, Mahayana and Foundation Vehicle is not something we can show to anyone else. It is turning our attention inward toward our own mind. It is looking, do I have that much courage or not? Can I bear that much responsibility or not? That is what we need to look at. If we are able to take that much responsibility, then we are Mahayana. If we aren't, then we are not Mahayana. Thus, even if we present ourselves to others as if we were Mahayana, in actuality we would not be Mahayana. So for this reason, going for refuge in rousing bodhicitta is critical. It is included among our preliminary dharmas. When we say a preliminary dharma, many people think that it must be less important and that the main practice is something that is more profound and more important. But actually, the preliminaries are the foundation. When you build a house, most of the expense goes initially into laying the foundation. We need a really stable foundation. If the foundation is good, then the actual practice, the house, will be able to sit stably. If we don't lay a good foundation, the actual practice, the house, will never be stable. Therefore, we say in our Kagyu tradition that the preliminaries are more profound than the main practice. Likewise, it is said in the Kadampa teachings, if you do not realize death and impermanence, Guhya Samaja is not profound. If you understand death and impermanence, the three lines of refuge are profound. So if you don't realize death and impermanence, which is a preliminary practice after all, Guhya Samaja is not profound. For that individual, it is not profound. It has no power or benefit for them. If you realize death and impermanence, there is no need for such vast practices as Guhya Samaja. Even if you know nothing besides the three lines of going for refuge, those three verses will have benefit and power for you. This is why going for refuge and rousing bodhicitta is a critical point. In this context, to discuss it in terms of practicing this sadhana, we need to understand the visualization. The visualization is usually taught as follows. Now, in the sky in front of you, there is a beautiful white cloud, and on top of it, there are many rainbows and beams of light forming a tent, making really beautiful patterns. On the other side of that, and slightly elevated, is a flower that seems in our minds to be extremely attractive and thoroughly delightful. In the middle of that environment, imagine that there is noble Avalokiteshvara, inseparable from your own root guru. So he's present and inseparable from your own root guru. So that noble Avalokiteshvara is not like a single individual or person over there someplace. He's the essence of all the three jewels, all the Buddhas of the 10 directions, and all the Bodhisattvas, all emanating in the form of a single individual, a single Bodhisattva. What we see is only a single Bodhisattva, but we think that he is all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas combined into one. an emanation of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions. We think that we are in front of him where he is looking, and it is not just us alone. Within this very lifetime, there are many people whom we love and who are close to our hearts. There are also people whom we don't like or who disgust us. There are many people with whom we really don't have much of a connection at all. There are quite a few of these people, and so we imagine that all of them are with us. We don't distinguish between friend and enemy or divide them into factions or parties. We are all gathered as one. Within this life, we might not have good connections, or we might have no connection at all. But in the way things actually are, we are all the same in wanting happiness. We're all the same in wanting to be free of suffering. So in that respect, we are all the same. Since we are all the same, we are all in the same boat. We imagine that we are all together. And then we think that all of us, not just me alone, all of us need to be freed from suffering. We all need to achieve happiness, and so therefore what we're saying is, please give us the capacity for achieving it, or the power to achieve it. Guru Avalokiteshvara, please grant me that ability. In this way, we have to put 100% of our hopes on Avalokiteshvara, and while doing this, we recite the verse for going for refuge. At this point, when we say that there is a visualization, but there are some people who are unable to visualize, this is just a naturally part of their physical constitution. There are people who, just as when told that they should visualize, imagine in a certain way, they're just unable to do it. Sometimes people have the difficulty that they can't do what you're supposed to do. The image just doesn't come out. But I think the main thing here is not what the image is like. What is foremost is the feeling that you have had in your mind, as I said before. So you should think that the Guru Avalokiteshvara is there, alive and present. Even if you can't think about so many different colors, the robes or accoutrements, you think that he is present, and that everyone is near you. Your friends and enemies, our parents, all sentient beings have gathered together without any distinction between friend and enemy. We bring out what our true desire is and say to Avalokiteshvara that we all have one wish, and that wish is to find happiness and be free of suffering. We think that we are all praying with similar wishes, and in this way go for refuge with great longing. Then we say the well-known prayer for going for refuge. In the Buddha, Dharma, and Supreme Assembly, I take refuge until attaining enlightenment. Through the merit of practicing generosity and so on, may I attain Buddhahood in order to benefit beings. I think most of you probably already know this verse well. So you might recite that verse, or you could recite the particular refuge prayer by the Siddha Tantang Gyalpo. It is also fine to recite that prayer. Whichever prayer you recite, the words make no difference. The most important point is how to think. For example, with the usual prayer, in the Buddha, Dharma, and Supreme Assembly, I take refuge until attaining enlightenment. Here, the reason why it says Supreme Assembly is that we should understand this as meaning the Bodhisattvas. So in this context, we should understand it as the bodhisattvas being the Sangha. Now it's fine if you know the difference or don't know the difference, but we think that from now on, until we achieve Buddhahood, from lifetime after lifetime I will go for refuge. Through the merit of practicing this meditation, may I attain Buddhahood in order to benefit beings. Even if now I only do one virtuous act, whether being generous, maintaining discipline, or so forth, the aim in doing it is to bring all sentient beings in the 6 realms to achieve Buddhahood. It means thinking, I am doing it so all beings may achieve Buddhahood. It means doing it imbued with bodhicitta. It is fine to recite the refuge verse 3 times, or reciting it once is also fine. In any case, it depends on how much time you have and what your feeling in your mind is like. In any case, we go for refuge and then rouse bodhicitta. After that, we should have the strong certainty that we and all sentient beings have now been brought under protection. We have committed our minds 100%, and we think that noble Avalokiteshvara cares for us 100%, that he has taken us on, and that he treats us well. We have to have stable trust and certainty. We really need to examine ourselves to see whether we truly have that certainty or not. So that is one point. That is how we go for refuge. And then after we go for refuge, well, there's one point I left out. So that is how we think when reciting, through the merit of practicing generosity and so on, I may attain Buddhahood in order to benefit beings. Next, when we think about bodhicitta, there is a difference. When we go for refuge, we primarily direct our attention to the Avalokiteshvara in the sky in front of ourselves. But then, when we think about bodhicitta, we instead primarily direct our attention to the sentient beings before us and the beings to either of our sides. We think about them. When we think about sentient beings, it's fine to think that there is not even one among them who has never been our parent. But to think about it like that, we have to believe in past and future lives, and that can be pretty complicated. If we cannot conceive of it like that, then every one of them wants to become happy and give up suffering. There's no difference at all. They are all the same. They want to abandon suffering, but don't know how to create the causes for abandoning suffering. In addition, they only accomplish the causes for suffering. They gather only the causes for suffering, misdeeds, and so what result will come of that? No result other than suffering can come. Therefore, for all sentient beings, with yourself foremost, what you could call the unexcelled happiness or the highest happiness, we are not seeking the temporary happiness of bringing ourselves a famous name, plentiful food and drink, wealth and prosperity. What we absolutely must have is the ultimate happiness, the highest happiness, the unchanging happiness of Buddhahood. If we do not achieve that, there is no point in solely creating the causes of suffering. We might have had the thought, wouldn't it be wonderful for all sentient beings to achieve that highest of happinesses? But other than wondering what to do, we feel as if we don't have the power to bring that out. Because we lack that, we think, I will practice the sadhana of Noble Avalokiteshvara. I will learn about Noble Avalokiteshvara. I will put the practice of Noble Avalokiteshvara, the practice of loving kindness and compassion, into practice. So we think, I will put effort into becoming just like noble Avalokiteshvara. We should rouse bodhicitta with such fervent longing. Once we have done that, we recite the words, "Through the merit of practicing this meditation, may I attain Buddhahood in order to benefit beings." Here we don't say practicing generosity and so forth as normal. Instead, we say that so that we gain a particular understanding, we say the merit of practicing this meditation. The intent of this is that because of the merit of visualizing Avalokiteshvara's body, reciting his mantra, and so forth, on this occasion, because of this, I will achieve the level of Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. We recite these words of bodhicitta aloud. You recite these a few times depending upon how much time you have. After you have gone for refuge and roused bodhicitta, the way you should think is that from the body of the Avalokiteshvara you have been visualizing in the sky before you, there shine many rays of light. So incredibly many beautiful, extremely bright rays of light shine from his body, striking you and all sentient beings. The moment the light rays touch you and all other sentient beings, you think that all sentient beings have been purified of their misdeeds, their unhappinesses have been eliminated, and they have been made happy. You should really believe this. We do this to increase our enthusiasm. The unhappiness isn't immediately eliminated, but it is like how sometimes when you're sad, you only think about a lot of sad situations. And when we're happy, we think about a lot of happy situations. We usually have a lot of thoughts. The way we think is often like this, isn't it? Similarly, when we think in this way to increase our enthusiasm, in Noble Avalokiteshvara, the Noble Avalokiteshvara also turns into the nature of light and dissolves in you. Then all the stains, impurities, and unbeneficial aspects of your body, speech, and mind are removed. Your body, speech, and mind become really powerful. They gain the great ability to act for others' benefit. You imagine that this is what happens. This is the visualization you should do. This is primarily the visualization for the preliminary part, going for refuge and rousing bodhicitta. So I think it is probably best to leave it here for this morning. This is because in the schedule it says the session should be about 2 hours. However, 2 hours is difficult for the translators. For me as a teacher, there's no particular difficulty. Because as you think about what to say, you wonder whether you'll have the time to say everything and don't really know how much time has gone by. But for the audience, sometimes if it is too long, you might get bored. So for that reason, I don't usually teach for too long. So I think that is enough for now. Once again, I was not actually able to come to Toronto in person as I had planned. I feel extremely sorry about this, but I hope you all understand. Generally, my physical condition has not been all that great from the time I arrived in America last year until now. There's nothing terribly wrong, but it's like my body has become kind of weak. I've also had a lot of things to consider and to worry about. So my body has not been so strong, and on top of that, I've had many worries and a lot of pressure. When you put those two together, it gets a bit difficult. So I'd like to beg all of your pardon. We will continue the teaching this afternoon. Another thing to say in particular is that on the last afternoon there is supposed to be an empowerment of Avalokiteshvara according to the schedule. Since I can't actually attend, if we try to give the Avalokiteshvara empowerment over live webcast, it would be a bit strange. If I were a powerful Lama, if there were an authentic Lama and qualified students, it would probably be okay. But in these days, in this age of the 5 degenerations running rampant, when there are so many people who do all sorts of things, if I were to say that I were giving an empowerment over live webcast, you all would pretend that I was, and I would have to also pretend. It would be more like a performance. So we won't have the empowerment. But instead, we'll have the meditation transmission of Avalokiteshvara. It is like an empowerment. There is no putting the vase on your head or anything like that, but we do the sadhana of Avalokiteshvara by repeating the words after the Lama, giving explanations as we do it. We alternate between explanation and repeating the words. This is what we call a meditation transmission. So I think it would be good to do that. Perhaps it is even better than an empowerment. Sometimes with empowerments, it takes a long time to give proper explanations of the empowerment, but there's never enough time, so I recite the empowerment quickly, and it is possible that there might be some blessing that is not visible to the eye, but we can't see it. But what we can see and feel is that when the Lama gives an explanation, there's a difference in what we see and feel. So I think that this will work out better. So therefore, I would like to thank everyone.